Hi everyone, welcome to another week of Into the Light with Laura Louise. I wanted to come on today and talk to you about two very important topics. In fact, they're probably the two most important topics that you can do, that you can implement into your life for the greatest change. Are you ready? The first one is forgiving. When you forgive, you shift your life. The other thing is giving. So when you have giving and forgiving, your whole life changes. Have you ever thought about you are one person away from your destiny changing forever? It takes people in order for people to move to different places, to get jobs, to have connections, whatever it is. You're one person away from your life changing. I recently came across a story. There is a gentleman named Kevin Scott who owns a restaurant out in South Carolina, and his restaurant is called Mr. Seafood. And he experienced a tragedy recently. Somebody broke in, vandalized his restaurant, and he had to close down for a day or two to fix all of the damage. And basically it was pretty disheartening, as you can imagine. But this man is such a pillar in his community that some of the neighbors found out who actually broke into his restaurant. And so they came and they told him who this person was. And the thing that got me is, instead of calling the police and having him taken away in handcuffs, he decided to call this individual and find out who he was and why he did what he did. So he called this young man, who was a man who broke into his restaurant, and he decided to find out why he did this. And so he had a conversation with this young person and found out that this person was fell on hard times, felt alone, and felt like there was no other option for him because he needed to feed his family. So Mr. Scott, being just a man with a heart, he decided to forgive him. So instead of calling the police and this young man possibly going to jail, because after all he burglarized a restaurant, he decided to do what I feel is such a powerful gift, right? This young man came across one person that is changing his life. Why? Because he is not doing what most people would expect him to do, right? Which is call the police and have him taken to jail, because after all he vandalized, he did wrong. He went deeper. He said he heard from God and said he felt that forgiveness was the answer. Can I just say that is the best thing I've ever heard, especially because I'm all about forgiveness. So I was excited and I was so just moved by this particular act. So what I wanted to talk about today is the 5 techniques for forgiving yourself. And definitely this young man needs to forgive himself, but I'm also going to say that I'm sure that there's many of you watching who also need to forgive yourself. Maybe not for robbing a restaurant, but for other things, right? For different things in your life. So number 1, let it go. The past is the past and you should not hang on to it. There's nothing you can do about the past. You can't go back and change it. So just let it go. You just need to let it go. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can go back and change. So let it go. Number 2, stop punishing yourself. Whatever you've done, and it doesn't matter, right? Whether you've victimized a restaurant, was rude to your husband, was mean to your parents, didn't parent properly, or maybe you just failed as something. Maybe you stole a stapler from work one time because you felt that you deserved it, or whatever it is, right? We do so many things in our life where it's like, well, I deserve this because I work, 20 hours, or because my husband never, or fill in the blank, right? So stop punishing yourself. The other thing, number 3, you ready? Number 3 is, what have you learned from what you've done? So lessons learned. Talk about lessons learned. What have you learned about whatever it is you've done? I talked about triggers or teachers. So go back and look at some of the things you've done in your life and learn from those experiences. Don't keep dating the same wrong kind of person. Don't keep taking jobs where you know you need to be in a different industry or doing something else. Don't continue to parent in a way that you know isn't working. Learn your lesson, shift what you need to do so that you can walk into your forgiveness. It is so important. So lessons learned. Biggest thing is focus on moving forward. We don't want to look back. Back's not going to get us anywhere. Yeah, it may give us some history and insight, but we need to be forward looking. We need to look ahead and figure out, where do I want to go? What do I need to do? And how am I going to get there? And then number 5, the biggest thing you can do when it comes to a technique of self-forgiveness is talk to someone. I cannot express this one enough. You have got to talk to somebody. Just like Mr. Scott called up that young man and said, you know, I think this young man is in a desperate situation and I think he needs somebody who's going to listen to him, right? Mr. Scott took the initiative to call the young man, but the young man was able to get it out. He talked about his fears. He talked about the family he couldn't feed. He talked about probably other things, because once you start talking, things just start coming out, right? It's almost like a spigot. Once you turn it on, it just keeps going until somebody turns it off. And the power and the love of forgiveness is so important, so important. So today, this is what I wanted to share with you. 1, Mr. Scott was the change agent in this young man's life. He was that one person that shifted this person's life. 2, the 5 techniques for forgiving yourself and self-love. So just going through that and making sure that you are just on the right track. Today, I just want to say, if you enjoyed this story, and I hope you did, that you found value in it, I'm going to ask that you subscribe to this channel. I'm going to ask that you share, that you also give me comments. I would love to hear what you would like to talk about around forgiveness. What teachings would you like to know about? What things do you want to kind of dig into? I am here for you. So give me some comments, show me some love, and I look forward to getting to know each and every one of you and your stories and your journey about your own forgiveness. My name is Laura Louise, and I'm with Into the Light with Laura Louise. Have a great day.